Hey, Messiah here today to talk about absolute values, okay? Absolute values come up all the time in math, and a lot of times we forget about what the heck they are. So let me just quickly describe to you what an absolute value is, and then we can try a couple of absolute value problems out together, okay? So let's just get started with what an absolute value is. An absolute value is the measure of the distance from whatever number you are at to zero, okay? For example, if I have the number here 3, the distance from 3 to 0 is, well, that's just 3, okay? And if you look at the number line here, okay, if I place a dot here on the number line that represents 3, you'll notice that the distance from 0 to 3 is just, in fact, 3, okay? This works the same way also with negative numbers. For example, if I plot negative 3 on the number line, negative 3, if you just put a dot here at negative 3, has the same distance to 0, okay? The only difference is it's kind of weird because negative 3, we don't say the distance is negative 3 to 0. We don't care about the direction. We just care about that the distance, the overall distance, which distances always remain positive, is that it's just 3, okay? What absolute values are is what we just did. It's taking any number or any expression and just looking for the distance from that number or that expression to 0, okay? So how do we write that? Absolute values are written just by putting two lines around the number, one in front, one on the other side. And that is pretty much what an absolute value does, okay? So for example, the absolute value 3, well, that is just 3 because the distance from 3 to 0 is, well, like we said before, 3. The absolute value of negative 3, well, that in fact is still 3 because the absolute value of even just the number negative 3, the distance from that number to 0 is still going to give us a 3. Okay, so let's look at a couple more problems of absolute values and let's see how we do. Okay, so the next problem that I want to do is let's say, for example, absolute value of negative 5. Okay, so what's the distance from negative 5 to 0? Okay, the answer to that problem would be, let's hear it. What is it? I'm waiting. 5, okay. And then let's try another one. Absolute value of negative 111 is going to be, yeah, positive 111. I'm pausing because I'm assuming you're talking to the computer screen because that's totally logical. For the most part, people, they remember as absolute values take negative numbers and pretty much turn them positive, okay? Let's just do one other one because this sometimes confuses people. Absolute value of 0. So again, what that's asking is, what is the distance from 0 to, well, 0? And the answer would be 0, okay? So that's another thing that sometimes people get a little bit messed up on, okay? So for the most part, absolute values, the measure of a distance from 0 to whatever number you have in the absolute value markers themselves, okay? Now, next thing I want to just quickly show you how to do is how to do this on a calculator. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so you're going to get your calculator out, and what you're going to do an absolute value is, first of all, you're going to have to put the little absolute value lines in first, okay? To do that, you're going to click on this button right here, okay? That's highlighted in red, okay? And it has all these different options, okay? You'll see that there's like a little exponent guy here, and there's a division or a fraction thing here, which is actually kind of cool because you can kind of edit your own little fractions in there. We'll talk about that later. But if you notice below there is this little button here, okay, with a little square with two lines left and right of it, okay? I want you to go ahead and click that or enter it, depending on how you want to do that. And it puts the little absolute value bars on the screen. From there, what you can do is just go ahead and type in whatever you need to find the absolute value of, and then hit enter, and it will tell you. Okay, so that's just how we can go ahead and do absolute values on the graphing calculator. Okay, this will come in handy, the absolute value key, when you go, in fact, to graph absolute value functions, but we'll do that later. Okay, well, that's enough for today. I will see you later. Goodbye.